Regardless of what you might think about Candace Owens, she's been investigating Charlie Kirk's assassination every single day since it happened. Anyone who follows her show has seen her exclusively present materials that give any rational person the very reasonable doubt that would acquit Tyler Robinson. Remember, he stands accused of killing Charlie Kirk by firing a single shot to the neck with a .30-06 rifle. And he allegedly did so from a roof 142 yards away. So look, we're going to show you some of the material that Candace has presented on her show. And luckily, Candace joins us today to walk us through it all. Candace, welcome.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for doing this, especially on such short notice. I was planning on doing this segment totally by myself, but there's just so much, and I know I'm gonna miss things, and you do really know this case like the back of your hand. So I wanna start off by talking about what you covered on your show yesterday, because for me, that was it. At that point, I'm like, I'm gonna talk about this and I'm gonna give her kudos because this video footage is very suspicious and we need answers, and it does cast some doubt on the official narrative surrounding Tyler Robinson and how this assassination allegedly took place. So, you have mentioned on your show repeatedly that less than 4 minutes after Charlie Kirk was shot, Terrell Farnsworth, who runs audio and visual for Turning Point USA, was seen taking down one of the cameras that was like on the set where Charlie was, right? So there's 3 cameras in total, but the one camera behind him, which would capture the back of Charlie's head and the audience viewing him, that's the camera less than 4 minutes after Charlie Kirk was shot. That's the camera that Terrell Farnsworth goes to immediately, takes it down, and then there's video of that moment along with some of the context of what you had to say about the video. So I want to just show the audience that, and then we'll go to the new footage that you presented yesterday. Everyone take a look.
So when the footage began going viral, the clip of Terrell taking down that camera in particular, people online, I think, rightfully speculated that there must have been something really important about that back footage behind Charlie's head specifically. And then people were gaslit. We were told, no, there was nothing unique about that camera. There was nothing unique about that footage in particular. Terrell actually grabbed all of the footage, and he did so because people were stealing and people are evil, which we then said our common sense went, that doesn't really make sense, because if he was worried about people stealing, wouldn't he be concerned with the camera? It was just the SD card that he took out. Contrary to what Andrew Colvett is saying, there was something special about that footage behind Charlie's head, and Terrell beelined to it in particular. And he was nervous about that footage in particular because he did not instantly grab all of the SD cards. He grabbed that one and he did it nervously. Here he is. Here he is. He's taking down the camera altogether. If you're worried about theft, take the whole camera. It's pretty small. It's in your hand. He doesn't do that. He takes it apart and he takes the SD card out. And he looks around. He wants to see who's looking at him. And then he looks down at it and he walks around. And we had wondered, what did Terrell do when he walked around? He hasn't addressed any other camera there, just that one.
So it's definitely strange that he didn't address any other camera except for the one directly behind Charlie Kirk. And you actually reached out to him. You knew who he was because of your time with Turning Point USA. You spoke to him on September 18th to ask about it. What did he tell you?
It was the first thing that made me uncomfortable in this case. He basically was saying a bunch of excuses that didn't make any sense. The first thing he said was, he wanted to secure the footage because he didn't want Erica to see Charlie die in 4K. And I said, Terrell, we all just watched Charlie die. Like, they're not saving her from that inevitability because, that's the whole thing. It was a live stream. We all watched this already. It's all over the internet and it's from the front. Why would you grab the back footage if that was your concern? And then he told me that I said, could you just send it to me because I'm not gonna show the footage. I just want to see it so I can then defend you on my platform, which was my intention to say, hey guys, like this is the reason he did this. Maybe a police officer told him to grab all the footage. I hadn't put the pieces together yet. And he told me, well, I don't know how to send a file that big. And I said, Terrell, you run an audio-visual company. You know how to send big files. Like you can use WeTransfer, you could use Google. And then he said he was worried that Google was going to hack him. I mean, these are just totally, frankly, bizarre excuses for not showing me the footage. I would have happily gone to him. I would have jumped on a Zoom call. And I was like, hey, you're acting really strange. I told him that. I said, this is all very weird. Like what would Google hack you for the purpose of then showing the footage that we've all seen? Like we're all gonna see Charlie die again? Like what kind of a conspiracy is this? And so you fast forward to this preliminary hearing and the testimony of the State Bureau of Investigations. And I find out that actually 8 days prior to him speaking to me, actually on the day that Charlie was assassinated, he sent them Google links. So clearly he wasn't fearful about Google. Clearly he knew how to share a link, as I know he did. So the natural question that I have is, why did he lie to me? Why did he lie to me?
Well, not only that, and this is really important. So he took the SD card out of the camera. You just mentioned that he provided investigators with Google links of the footage. Did he provide them?
As well as a flash drive, which is what was testified to, which means what happened to the SD cards, right? So the SD cards, if you're saying that you wanted to assist the officers, you just give them the SD cards. They know how to figure out an SD card. You don't have to do anything to help them figure out how to do an SD card. And so if that excuse of I just wanted to secure all the footage was correct, that's what you would have done. But clearly his focus was that back footage because he even steps over another camera, which would have had a good view of people in the audience. If you thought, hey, maybe someone shot him that was in the audience or Veloci Center, I would have grabbed that camera that was behind him facing the audience and the questioners. He steps over that camera and abandons an opportunity to grab that SD card at the same time. And he nervously looks around, grabs that back one, and then walks around to the back of the tent, as you just showed.
And I don't want it to be lost on our audience, so I want to reiterate. He never provided, and this is based on the testimony that you can hear for yourselves during the preliminary hearing. He never provided the SD card, the original, SD card to the investigation. He just provided the Google links and a flash drive, which would indicate that there's a possibility of evidence tampering. No? I mean, I'm not saying that he did do that, but that there's a possibility for that.
There's certainly a possibility, and what's also interesting to me is like the SBI, they control the case, right? So that's the State Bureau of Investigations. The lead investigators on the case are the SBI. They were on the ground that day. I believe he testified. It was about 1:30 by the time they started saying, okay, this is your job, your job, your job. Your job is to secure the surveillance. Why are you not giving them the SD cards? And the only excuse that we have gotten about where those SD cards are came from Andrew Colvett weeks later. He told the public that the SD cards were given to the FBI. That makes entirely no sense. This is not a federal case, this is a state case. The lead investigators are in the state. Who in the FBI has those SD cards, and when were they given those SD cards? Did Terrell take it back to Arizona and then give it to Kash Patel thereafter? We don't know, but these are questions that anybody who is looking at this case should be rationally asking, because Terrell had an opportunity to edit that footage. He did, he just did. And the story that we were told by Andrew Colvett was that he just wanted to secure the footage for the purposes of making sure that nobody stole anything because people are evil. But actually, I don't think his priority was making sure that things weren't stolen, because he left those other cameras. He left that other SD card as the one that he stepped over and addressed his computer.
Right.
Like, that's not the first thing. And I want to be clear, this is all happening within 10 minutes of Charlie getting hit. Terrell runs up to a ledge, records a selfie video of himself, As Charlie's being carried to the car, he says, "Charlie's dead," which is a stunning thing to say. A stunning thing. Nobody knew that Charlie was dead. Charlie wasn't going to make it. He explains it away. I was close to him. I saw how bad it was. I just assumed he was dead or whatever. Okay, I'll accept that. Your next step is not to call 911, but to jump down and secure the camera behind his head. Are we allowed to acknowledge that that's strange?
I mean, I'm acknowledging it. I do think that's strange. And what's even more strange is the exclusive footage that you presented on your show just yesterday. So you asked, rightfully, like what happened immediately after he took the SD card out of the camera. And you managed to find footage of what he did immediately after. So that's what we're gonna take a look at next. Everyone take a look at this video.
Here is what Terrell did thereafter, seen for the first time. Terrell is there. He looks around, again, nervously, and he puts the SD card in his pocket and he zips up. He doesn't run to the other cameras and try to grab the SD card. Instead, what he does is he whips out his phone and he begins texting with someone. And that's what he does. He's texting with someone to say what?
I mean, that's a legitimate question. And think about the traumatic scene that everyone just witnessed. Less than 4 minutes after Charlie Kirk gets shot, he goes for the camera to take the SD card out. Like, I just feel like most people their mind wouldn't go there. I mean, and I could be wrong. Everyone reacts differently, I guess. But I know I wouldn't react that way. My first thought wouldn't be, I gotta get the SD card out of the camera directly behind Charlie Kirk's head. It's just strange.
Which is the least important footage when you consider the shots. It's the least important footage is going to be that footage because traditionally it always just showed kind of what was at Charlie's feet and a little bit of the audience. It's not a great shot of anything actually. The other two cameras would be more significant. If that was your instinct to secure the footage, why not do all three at the exact same time? Why this one being prioritized? And I also want to raise the most significant part. He violates the crime scene to do it. He pulls the chair that Charlie, according to him, just died in because he said instantly that Charlie was dead. So he knew it was a crime scene and he drags the chair that Charlie was sitting on that has blood all over it and stands on top of it, stands over the other camera, which has been knocked over, to basically unfasten that camera, to bring it down, take it to the side, doesn't care about all of these expensive cameras that could be stolen. Andrew's story is he was worried about people stealing. Well, okay, let's secure the cameras. And he just takes that SD card out and he's constantly looking both ways. Like, looking both ways as if he is doing something wrong or like he has some sort of a fear. I mean, that's what I see in his body language when I look at that.
Yeah, and also, I mean, I have a huge problem with the fact that he didn't provide the original SD card to the investigators. Like that's a huge problem.
Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.